welcome to a TMC Net podcast. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. On our program today is Chris Bailey, and Chris is with FileCatalyst. How are you, Chris? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Rich?
Couldn't be better. Fully vaccinated, and for some reason, I'm still afraid to leave the house. I'm just kidding. I have gone out once or twice, but I'm now at this point, I'm just used to it. I'm in the office, in the house. How about yourself?
Same. I think pretty much all the viewers are probably in the same spot as well. It's like, what is the office? What's home? What's normal? Nobody knows anymore.
I did go to a restaurant this past weekend, and it felt quite liberating. So, but we still had to wear the mask. But at least while I was sitting, I took off.
Plexiglass and stuff in between.
They did. This diner was in New York, Westchester, New York, and they had 6 foot distancing. They didn't have any plexiglass. I've seen that before, but that they didn't have it. It was big. It was a big space.
Yeah.
So I figured we'll start at the top, and you'll give us an overview of FileCatalyst. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, for sure. So FileCatalyst is actually a product of Unlimited software. So the company was founded back in 2000. We started off with FTP-based tools to just move files to and from point A to point B. And what we found is that organically, a lot of our customers were from media and entertainment. And the reason why they started gravitating to our solutions was because there was a transition from analog to digital, and then moving from standard definition content to high definition content, and files were getting larger and bandwidth was becoming available and more accessible. So there was a need to move files across the internet. And what happened was as bandwidth got higher and file sizes got higher, they were noticing that it was taking a long time to transfer these files, longer than it would in some cases to actually ship hard drives overnight, which of course they said, let's up our bandwidth. And lo and behold, the transfer speed still didn't increase even though they'd upped their bandwidth. So that's where FileCatalyst came in. FileCatalyst allows you to maximize that bandwidth regardless of network conditions, and in some cases it gets you hundreds of times faster than FTP. So we kind of created the technology, grew from there, made a product suite that allowed our customers to easily access that technology, integrated into existing applications. We did a few high-profile events along the way, like the Olympics. We won a couple of Emmy Awards. But since then, we've been just iteratively kind of making it more scalable, higher performance, adding new features, just expanding the breadth of the tools that we offer that are based on that technology. And then, just recently in January, we were acquired by HelpSystems. So that kind of changed things for us.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Could you tell us a little bit about that acquisition and how does that change the future of FileCatalyst, if at all?
Well, it changes in the fact that there's definitely our customers should expect a lot more resources behind FileCatalyst and a lot more exciting integration opportunities. HelpSystems is committed to file transfers, so it's one of the reasons why we're excited about that opportunity. They acquired a company called Lenoma Software in 2016. They have a managed file transfer software called Go Anywhere, and it's a market leader. Then just this past summer in 2020, they acquired a company called GlobalScape, who is another leader in managed file transfer. So combined, they actually, by market share, are the third largest managed file transfer vendor out there. Then they came and acquired FileCatalyst to add acceleration capabilities to those MFTs. So you don't acquire large companies like those to just ride it out. They're all in on file transfer. And then there's also a comprehensive suite of data security from data classification, digital rights management, encryption. All of these things are going to kind of come together to build a really comprehensive suite of products that just facilitates data security, file movement, and just security at every point along the way. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and that sounds great because, as we know, secure file transfer is becoming more and more important because of all the hacks and because just you have to be able to communicate with more and more data. And just some examples of why you need more to deal with more data is just if you look at the camera sizes, the video sizes, and the number of cameras that are out there and all that content, as well as big data and companies trying to deal with all of the challenges of managing big data and finding models for AI. I mean, it's just so much out there that you have to deal with, and companies like yours are obviously helping.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned video and cameras, but in the different verticals, it's just the higher level concept is resolution of the files. So you think resolution, you think the pixels on a screen, but what about the pixels in medical imaging, the resolution of seismic data, genomic sequencing, the depth of the data that they're collecting now is just humongous, and it's continuing to grow as technology advances. The files and the resolution of these different types of data is just expanding. And at the same time, bandwidth is increasing like crazy as well. I mean, 5G is rolling out. 5G is giving an unparalleled, not to be cliche, but an unparalleled level of bandwidth accessibility to mobile devices. It's just, and it's needed because the video content even being produced by your cell phone camera is now huge. So just getting a way to move this data around effectively, and then when the data is secure, being able to classify it and add encryption to it, and make sure who receives that data is the person you want to receive that data. So that's the rights management part of things. That's what the combination between FileCatalyst and HelpSystems is going to bring together.
That's great. And I know that you're helping transform the processes of a lot of companies that have good amounts of data that they need to share and they need to move around. Can you give us some examples of those customers beyond what we just talked about with video, if there are any others that are worthy of discussion?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me start with the obvious one, and that's the pandemic. We were on a Zoom call. Technology was there for several years that would facilitate this video conferencing and remote working and remote moving files. But the level to which it's moved out of necessity in the last year, it's kind of bypassed the whole let's try it out. It's out of necessity, and guess what? It worked. Part of that is the video side of things, but a lot of that is also data sharing. When teams become remote and they start working on these same workflows that were done within an office or on-prem are now distributed. People are now moving permanently to an office in their house. They need to move data back and forth between that location to a central location, back to another remote location at a much higher level than they were previously. So FileCatalyst is a technology that can facilitate that. That's just one aspect of it. There's also, I mean, we've been talking for years about migrating applications to the cloud. As you migrate data to the cloud, or applications to the cloud rather, the data needs to get there as well. So companies moving data to the cloud, they're finding that it's extremely slow. FileCatalyst can kind of come in there and they can solve that problem as well. So just a couple of examples of how we kind of help with transforming processes for these organizations.
And it's not really the size of the company that determines whether they need to be or they could benefit by your services. It's really the size of how much data they're dealing with. If they're data intensive and they're a small company, then you can help them. Or if they're a large company, most likely they have large amounts of data, you can help them as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we deal with in media, for example, a small, two-person post-production facility. They have two locations. There's two video editors, and they share files back and forth. But the files are huge, and they might be dealing with one of the large studios, right? So it doesn't matter that they're small; they have huge videos. But then, as you mentioned, it could be multinationals that are dealing with large data as well.
We're seeing this shift to the suburbs and the shift to different parts of the country, right? I saw that Colorado, Texas, Florida, they're seeing a tremendous influx. North Carolina, a bunch of other states as well. They're seeing an influx of workers or people, and a lot of those people, you've got to think, had jobs in California, they had them in New York or in other places that they left. And so now we're seeing this increased distribution of the workforce. And as we both mentioned, we're working from home. This could be a semi-permanent thing, or people relocating and just working from home on a more regular basis. So it sounds like what you're doing is you're helping to facilitate this new environment of working from anywhere, because it's not just what I described. There's more to it than that. Companies realize now they can also hire more remotely as well. So maybe more hiring lower cost workers in other parts of the world or whatever it is. However you're building your multinational corporation or your multinational workforce, it sounds like you're in that game and you're helping that as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just stepping back from the file transfer, I feel as though out of necessity, as I was mentioning earlier, everybody's kind of moved remote. There's the previous normal, so we were here, now we're here. I don't think there's going back to here again. I think it's going back to here, or maybe a hybrid somewhere in between.
Right.
Um, and because of that, I think the need for file transfer has, exploded. Maybe it'll settle down over the next couple of years. Who knows? But the technology's proven now, and as you mentioned, and as I mentioned earlier, FileCatalyst has allowed a smooth transition for anybody dealing with file-based workflows. It's not every industry and not every, I mean, it's a niche within many verticals. But when you combine what's happened with the pandemic with the technology advances that's creating these higher resolution files, not just media files, but other types of data as well, combined with bandwidth growing and coming down in cost. And you really have the perfect storm for I don't want to call it storm, it sounds negative, but for FileCatalyst as a product, it's really allowed it to thrive. And then when you mix in the other issues that the HelpSystems products solve around the security and the management of those file transfers, I'm really excited about the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo what you just said about technology in general. I mean, you said the perfect storm, but we've been TMC. We've been evangelizing these technologies, work from home technologies for years, decades actually. Through a magazine called Internet Telephony, a website, a show called IT Expo that actually had roots in the IP communication space, but now become a lot broader. And a lot of these collaboration vendors have been exhibitors, speakers at these events, and we've been kind of preparing for this our whole lives, it seems, in our career. And we have to just be thankful that the technology was here, the broadband was here, companies like yours, you guys were here, e-commerce companies were here allowing us to order food. The delivery services were here that allowed us over the last year, many of us who didn't want to leave our house for whatever reasons, whether there was comorbidities or they could just work at home, we enabled the productivity of society to continue. And had this pandemic happen in 1980, for example, we didn't have this infrastructure. This work from home wouldn't have happened. The economy would have potentially collapsed far more than it has now. And we would have had a lot more people sick. And I don't even remember how food used to be ordered back in 1980. Like if people aren't in the restaurant, how do you, like groceries, what would you do? I mean, we really would have been in rough shape. So thanks to technologies like yours and others, you guys helped us get through. And for those people that are watching to this point, I'm sure they want to know how they could find out more about your company. How do they get in touch with you? How do they get in touch, learn more, potentially get helped by your solutions?
Well, I mean, it's probably expected that you'd go to filecatalyst.com. When you get there, you can read through some case studies. We have blogs and just, I mean, not everybody's looking for a file transfer solution, but we try to portray it in a way that's easy to understand. It'll get your foot in the door in terms of understanding what we do. Now, if you like what you hear, or you think that you do need to move forward with a file transfer solution, for sure you can click on the trial button, submit it. What we typically do is we'll provide you with a trial, some pre-sales. We'll help you set things up and get it working for your workflow, and then we go from there. And see if it helps you with a return on investment on time or maybe bandwidth that's underutilized. That's pretty much how we do the process. So yeah, filecatalyst.com, and it's all right there.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And congrats on the acquisition and good luck in the future.
Thanks a lot for having me, Rich. Have a good one.